And then on December 4th, something pretty wild happened. Trump fired his ballroom architect. His name was James McCreary, and he was this classical architect who designs these beautiful churches and historic buildings, designing buildings like the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Supreme Court gift shop. I mean, say what you will about the guy, but he's got range. But alas, Trump replaced him with a different architect, a guy by the name of Shalom Baranes. When I say I went to look this man up and my jaw dropped to the floor, so a little background on him. After 9/11, when the Pentagon needed to be rebuilt and hardened against future attacks, they hired Shalom Baranes. Yeah, this man designed the post-9/11 hardening project for the Pentagon, the secure wedges, the SCIFs, the bomb-resistant architecture. This was all Shalom. And SCIFs, by the way, are sensitive compartment information facilities. They have electromagnetically shielded rooms for classified intelligence work and are built to survive missile attacks. And it's important you know what SCIFs are because this comes back into play a little later on. And his portfolio doesn't stop there. It gets a lot more intense with DHS headquarters, Treasury building modernization, the GSA headquarters secure facility, the CISA cybersecurity headquarters that, yes, Clark Construction also built. Yeah, so these guys have rendezvoused together before. And at this point, I wanted to see if I could take a peek at what was happening on the ground. So with my last remaining week of my free Planet Labs subscription, I looked through some satellite imagery, and what I saw astounded me. And I saw that these flatbed trucks had been photographed delivering these massive steel caissons to the site. Now, from what I understand about caissons is that they are these huge cylindrical retaining structures, basically. You use them for deep underground construction. They're designed very specifically to hold back soil and water pressure whenever you're going way deep underground. So you wouldn't use them for just standard foundation. And then I saw this heavy lift crane that was like permanently anchored into a concrete pad. I mean, that seemed to be for some long duration construction involving heavy structural materials and lifts from a deep excavation pit. And all of this brought me to my next question, which is if this is actually going to be a data center, then that means they're going to need a massive amount of power. Because data centers consume insane amounts of electricity. So I started looking into what's been happening with DC's power infrastructure. And here is where it gets interesting. In August and September of 2025, just weeks after Trump's announced the ballroom in July, Pepco filed emergency requests for infrastructure work near the East Wing. And this called for an emergency relocation of water infrastructure, large-scale waterline modifications, and something called Champlain Substation Modernization, which I still haven't quite figured out what that means. But Pepco's own language in the emergency filing says that there's a lack of alternative supply capacity in downtown DC. And now here's the thing about that. Downtown DC office occupancy has been declining since COVID. I mean, half the buildings are empty. In general, the commercial real estate market is shrinking, not growing. So where's this new massive power demand coming from?